Hi friends, this is Miss Becca. Today I'm going to read you a book. The title of this book is Papa and the Pioneer Quilt. The author of this book is Jean Van Leeuwen, and the illustrator is Rebecca Bond. Papa and the Pioneer Quilt. My papa has wandering feet. That's what Mama always says. Those feet have taken us to a lot of places. From Pennsylvania, where I was born, to Ohio, where Harrison came along. Then to Indiana, where Jacob joined the family. And Missouri, our new little baby Susanna, she was born there. And now Papa's feet have us wandering again. This time way out west to a place called Oregon. I didn't want to go. I loved our little farm and my pet calf Dolly and Grandma living just down the road. But Papa said, I hear tell land out there is the finest a man could want. And Mama said, we have to go, Rebecca. This is Papa's dream. So we set out in early spring by wagon train. Trouble was, my feet looked like they'd be worn out before we got there. I walked along beside the wagons 10, 12, sometimes 15 miles a day. My shoes were all scuffed up before we even got to Kansas. Sometimes Rachel walked beside me. She was a new bride. She smiled all the time, even though all she had in the world was a copper kettle. One noon, when we stopped for dinner, she showed me what was inside. Little scraps of fabric, that's all. Just old bits of this and that. I'm sewing them into a quilt, she told me. So when Thomas and I get to Oregon, we will start our life with a kettle and a quilt. I liked that, turning old bits of this and that into something new. Maybe, I thought, I could make a quilt too. So I asked Mama. That's a wonderful idea, she said. You collect the scraps, and together we will sew the quilt. Mama gave me a string bag. The first thing I put in was the handkerchief Grandma gave me when we left. Her tears were still on it. That handkerchief was the only thing in my quilt bag for a while, until the day we crossed the river. Oh, that river water was flowing fast. Papa tried to hold on to the oxen, but he was pushed under. Next thing we knew, the river carried him away. Papa! Cried Jacob. 3 men pulled him out and laid him on shore. He lay so still, my heart pounded. Jacob started to cry. Then Papa opened his eyes, and he was all right. But not his shirt, ripped from top to bottom. Even Mama couldn't sew it up again. So into my quilt bag it went. Rachel told me stories about her scraps. This one is from my daddy's old coat, and this is the bonnet I wore to church. And that is a piece of my Mama's apron. And the breeches my brother Isaac wore when the dog bit him. Her eyes filled with tears. I may not see any of them ever again. We decided to trade. A piece of my father's blue shirt for a bit of her Mama's checked apron. I added it to my quilt bag. A few weeks later, we were in Nebraska. A new family joined our wagon train. They had 7 girls, and one of them, Maddie, was near my age. It was so nice to have a friend. Maddie and I watched the little ones together and looked for prairie dogs and talked about our homes. And one day we found a whole field of bluebells. Oh, let's pick some, said Maddie. We picked big bunches to decorate the wagons and more for our hair. I placed a crown of buttercups on Susanna's head. She didn't like it. Maddie walked with me all through all of Wyoming to where the trail split off for California. There we sadly waved goodbye. Wait! She came running back, pushing her sunbonnet into my hand. Keep it for your quilt, she said. My pesky brother Harrison could never sit still. He'd fallen out of the wagon 3 times. The last time was the worst. The wagon behind us ran over his foot. Papa said it wasn't broken, and Mama hugged him close. Then she saw his breeches all in tatters. "You scamp," she scolded. "How are we going to keep you in clothes till we get to Oregon?" So I got something else for my quilt bag. At last we reached the mountains. Everyone had to get out of their wagons and walk to lighten the load for the oxen. But the trail was so steep and the poor oxen were so tired. Papa coaxed them. He pushed and pulled, but it was no use. "We need to lighten their load still more," he said. We left a trunk of Mama's good china beside the trail. Mama cried. But we made it over the mountains. On the way down, we came upon a broken wagon, its contents all strewn about. "Their oxen must have given out," Papa said, sadly. "They'll have to go the rest of the way on foot." That family could have been us, I thought. I looked at a pretty tablecloth. "It's all right," said Mama. "No one will be coming back for it." My quilt bag was starting to fill up. As I walked, I could feel every stick and stone beneath my feet. My shoes had worn so thin. "Will we ever get to Oregon?" I asked Papa. "Soon," he said. We trudged on, up more mountains, across streams, down rocky hills. The nights grew cold. One morning, the wagon covers were dusted with snow. 2 days later, just about noon, I saw something through the trees. Spread out below us in the sunshine was a wide, green, beautiful valley. "Is that Oregon?" I asked. "Yes," said Papa. Mama hugged me. I saw Rachel smiling wider than ever. The men threw their hats in the air and we all shouted for joy. So after 6 months of traveling, we were in Oregon. One last thing went into my quilt bag. The dress I wore every day of our journey. It was worn and torn and mended, but some good scraps were left. We had a cabin now with 40 acres of land, the finest farmland he'd ever seen, Papa said. We worked hard all day, but at night, Mama and I sewed on my quilt. Mama said it would tell the story of our long journey. The pattern is called Wandering Foot, she said. I wasn't sure I liked that. "I don't want Papa's feet to wander any more," I said. "Maybe they won't," she said, smiling. "We're almost to the ocean. We've about run out of country." Now my quilt is finished, and so far, Papa's feet have stayed put. I'm hoping really hard we will too. Thank you, friends, for listening to the story. I hope you have a really great day. Bye!